Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Well, the difference a day can make. Certainly, if you're Team India, this response was just what they would have wanted after that notorious 110 against New Zealand. They've put up the highest score batting first in this T20 World Cup 2021. 210, first time team's gone past 200 in the Super 12s, and it is India who wanted a big score after being put into bat. Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul with a record partnership for India in T20 World Cups. Rohit with his highest score in the tournament's history, and Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant finishing it off quite nicely, 63 of 21 between them. Ajit Agarkar and Tom Moody on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. That was just the kind of response India would have hoped for, Tom.
Absolutely, they did it with such but they did it exactly how we expect India to play, really, this brand of cricket, this confidence in their game was missing in the first two games, and they certainly found their feet. Then again, it looks like a very good batting surface. I'm not certainly taking anything away from them, but it just seemed to have a very consistent pace and bounce to that surface, minimal spin, so they took full advantage and posted a formidable score.
It's on days like this when I try to think, do India really have all these problems that seem to have come out after the first two games? And you can understand why I'd have that dichotomy.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I think, what it's all about is just the pressure of tournament cricket, isn't it? The expectation on these players, the expectation as a team that hasn't delivered in ICC tournaments, I think, if anything, probably overwhelmed them in the early parts of this tournament. This is the cricket that we're used to seeing India play. It's the cricket that their talent that they have in their dressing room certainly, can deliver on a regular basis. So it's just a reminder that, look, it hasn't gone missing. It's just a case of this game's not just skill. There's a mental skill to it as well.
Could Afghanistan have done anything more, especially starting up when Rohit and Rahul decided to take them on?
Yeah, look, I was interested to see Mohammad Nabi only bowl one over. I just thought that his experience. Look, I understand there was right-handers out there in the early parts before Pant came out to bat, but he bowls very well to right-handers, and he's had success against them in the past. So I just thought that maybe he could have come back into the attack at some stage using his experience. But again, when you have two players like Rohit and KL on song, it's very difficult to stop them because they're such good stroke players, and they do it authentically. They do it in classical style. There's no slogging.
Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant haven't quite come to the party just yet. We've seen taking off as soon as you come to the middle a bit hard for a lot of middle order power hitters. What was different today? Was it again down to better batting conditions, Tom?
Yeah, I think number one, better batting conditions. It's a lot easier to come in and get your innings up and running. When you do have a surface that is easier to make that instant impact. When you've got a slow surface or a surface that's just holding a bit with turn, it's very hard to come in and play that, that power game up front. But when you have a good surface, which this one certainly looks like a good surface, it's a lot easier to go from the get-go and to be able to, express yourself immediately. We all know how dangerous both those players are. And, they again demonstrated exactly, why they are sort of sought after players in franchise cricket, but also great assets to the Indian middle order.
All right. Let me just see if Ajit Agarkar is with us. I think he's struggling a bit. So we'll just wait on and continue the conversation with Tom Moody. Do they miss a trick sometimes by not bowling Rashid Khan a bit sooner? We saw New Zealand use a lot of spin to Rohit Sharma early on, try and strangle him down. Do they miss a trick at times, Tom?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I know that at Sunrisers Hyderabad, Rashid Khan's been used sometimes earlier against Rohit Sharma. He's had his struggles, to be fair, like most people have against Rashid. And at the end of the day, from a tactical point of view, you need to be taking wickets. If you're not taking wickets, you're losing your grip of the game. And yeah, you may have a blueprint that you have going into the contest, but that blueprint needs to be a little bit pliable if things aren't going your way, and you need to also be a little bit ahead of the game and make those adjustments if need be. And if that means bowling Rashid Khan 1 or 2 overs in the power play to get some inroads and create that doubt in the Indian batting order, well, you've got to be open-minded to that.
Did Afghanistan also just lose it a bit with the ball? What sort of bowling do you think would be challenging on this surface? We saw a couple of overs from Hamid Hassan trouble India's batters. What did they get wrong towards the end?
Yeah, I thought Hamid bowled well. He was a little unlucky, to be fair. He managed to find his Yorkers, and which he's known for, and was a little bit unlucky with that. Look, at the end of the day, what you need to have right in those situations is, number one, you need to have your defensive bowling absolutely spot on, and number two, your field set to reflect what you're looking to do defensively. I think sometimes today it just didn't appear that Afghanistan had both of those things in line. Number one, their defensive bowling wasn't spot on, and number two, they didn't always have the field set to be able to I suppose prevent the batsman taking control like they did.
All right. Let me see. Ajit, have I got you just in time?
Yeah, looks like it's one of those days, I think.
Yeah, I know your internet was crystal clear on the day we had to go after India or criticize them when they batted poorly. On the day where we have to shower some praise, it's funny that it's acting up. But give me your summary. That was pretty much the near perfect innings, almost the template innings that India would have hoped for going into this World Cup batting first.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, it's been a couple of games, and it feels like it's been a long tournament for India, but it's actually been a couple of games before that, and the top two who India looked to sort of bank on didn't quite fire, and that put a lot of pressure on the middle order, which didn't quite respond as well as they would have liked. Today, the top two did, and India got over 200 quite comfortably. Not great bowling later on sometimes, but that's due to the pressure that these batsmen with their quality put on the bowlers. So the top two firing for India was key, and it happened tonight, and India's got to a really good score.
Tom was saying a little while back that he thinks that these are better batting conditions than we've seen previously. This is the highest score in the tournament. How would you bowl on this surface?
I mean, we saw yesterday as well, perhaps because they left a little bit of grass on it. It almost held the pitch a bit together. The pace or the bounce was a lot truer. You could play through the line a lot more. How do you bowl? I mean, these are experienced guys, so you still want to bowl aggressively at the start. I hope they start with Bumrah and don't overthink. I'm sure Ashwin will take the new ball. Looks that way. But
looks like Shami has the new ball. I'm just letting you know. First over to Shami, Ajit. You can put that into
so
your thoughts and carry on.
Bumrah's probably bowling the fifth over, which is supposedly the most important over in the T20 game. So yeah, there you go. So hopefully Shami fires. Look, Shami's not actually had a lot to do in this competition. Even the previous game, he's just bowled one over. So if he gets it right, he'll get wickets. But India have to. I mean, not that they don't otherwise, but I have to try and attack and try and get some wickets. I just hope Bumrah bowls from the other end though.
Yeah, he has fond memories, Mohammad Shami, of bowling to Afghanistan in an ICC event. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but we'll find out. India need to try and get a big win here, try and just boost that net run rate. Before I leave you, Ajit Agarkar and Tom Moody, some curiously timed news from the BCCI and some big news that Rahul Dravid will take over as head coach of the Indian team at the end of India's campaign of this World Cup. Let me just get a quick reaction from the two of you. Ajit, you know the man well. He's, of course, been part of the setup, been part of the first team as well when they went to Sri Lanka. Here he is now taking up the role full time. What are his main tasks for you or immediate tasks for you?
I'm sure there'll be a few. And once this World Cup ends, I think there'll be a few more unless India go on and win this from here on. But yeah, I mean, looks like the white ball captaincy is going to change, at least in the T20, in the immediate they play the 3 T20s against New Zealand. That's one of the things to look forward to because there's a World Cup next year. If there wasn't, then you perhaps have a bit more time to prepare. So which way do they go? They go to someone like a Rohit, who's a seasoned campaigner, or do they look at somebody younger? All those things he probably has a big say on now. the good thing is he's been around the setup now for a while with the India A or the under 19s or the NCA. So he knows most of these guys well. So that should certainly help.
It's an interesting time, Tom, to take over as head coach of the Indian team. Managing split captaincy is not something Indian cricket has had to do for a while. What do you see as Rahul's biggest challenges?
I don't think the split captaincy is an issue at all. Look, his challenge. There's many challenges coaching India. It's certainly one of the the most exciting jobs on the coaching landscape. And he's very well equipped to do it. As Ajit said, he's been through the system, understands the system, understands the players. One of his biggest challenges, I think, is managing the schedule and managing his players through that schedule and making sure that he's getting the very best out of those players without losing them physically or mentally. India is a team that everyone wants to play against and everyone wants to watch. So they need to find that balance and have an understanding how they're going to, match that up.
Do you see a period of transition, Tom, for this Indian team, perhaps in every format? And does it help that you have a player of such high profile as head coach while that transition is being overlooked?
Yeah, look, I don't think there's a transition at all. I think everything's looking pretty rosy in Indian cricket, I would have thought. There's a huge amount of depth of quality in all three formats of the game. This World Cup campaign hasn't gone, to plan, but there's been a lot of very positive things in Indian cricket over the last few years under the guidance of Ravi Shastri. So, this is an exciting time for the continued growth. And there's plenty of people, plenty of players to be able to introduce to that team over the next period of time that are ready to step up to the plate.
Do you share that view, Ajit, about India in its various formats, whether there is a transition period, either that's already going to be undergone or will inevitably come soon? Number of their star players in their 30s, mid-30s, as we look around, Rahane, Ashwin in Test cricket, Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, Kohli himself.
Yeah, maybe a little bit in Test cricket. I don't think so much in white ball cricket. Like Tom mentioned, there's a lot of depth. Test cricket, again, when you have 3 or 4 players playing as much amount as they have together with 60, 70, 80 tests, some 100 tests. So that if you're going to make changes, that will require a period of transition. You want to find the right players to take their spot if and when the time comes. So that will be a challenge. But we've seen, I think, players have come and performed when they've been given an opportunity. Test cricket might be a little bit of a challenge because of how long. It's like the team that I played in, the 4 in the middle order, all played well over 100 Test matches. That's a long time together. So to replace them, it's not always easy. Takes a bit of time, perhaps. As long as you identify the right people, Indian cricket at the moment looks pretty strong.
All right, let's leave it there, shall we? The BCCI, with its curious timing, has distracted us from a World Cup game, but these things happen. It's big news. We'll, of course, have you covered on ESPN Cricket Info on everything that develops from this story, reactions, etc. But you've heard Tom Moody and Ajit Agarkar. I think this is a conversation also that we could have in detail at the end of India's World Cup campaign, especially if the logical conclusion is reached that they don't qualify for the semi-finals. Anyway, we'll have you covered. For now, there's a World Cup game to figure out. India need to try and win big. We'll pick up the chat with Tom and Ajit. Thank you very much, gentlemen. More from you at the end of the day on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.
Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.